Less than.
You have 30 seconds.
All you got to do is point. Okay. It is now 6 o'clock. This is the time and date set for the February 12th, 2019 Planning Commission agenda meeting, Planning Commission for Roy City. The agenda has been posted and published according to law. We will begin this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join Commissioner Cowley in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. The first item on the agenda is declaration of conflicts. Do any of the commissioners have any conflicts to declare regarding any of the items on the agenda?
No.
There being none, we'll move to number 2. Approval of the January 22nd, 2019 joint CCPC work session minutes. Steve, do you want to talk about that or just? Okay. Then I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. There being none, the minutes are approved. Okay, this is item number 3. This is a 6 p.m. public hearing. This is to consider a request to amend the zoning map from R110, single-family residential, to R17, single-family residential, for the property located at approximately 3925 West, 4950 South in Roy, Utah. Is the proponent here? The person who wants this, put this on the agenda, are you, anybody here from them? Come on up, sir. Please come up to the podium and state your name, your address, and tell us what you want to know about this.
My name is Terry Smedley, and I'm at 490 West Gentile in Layton, Utah. Steve Horton made application for this rezone, or this, yes, the rezone. And I have some property that's adjacent to the Horton property. They have roughly 3.6 acres, and I have a little over 1 acre. And their acre, the roads that were developed in Country Brook, and another property developed by Dexter Horton tie into the Horton property. When that's developed, then my 1 acre would be developed. And whoever Steve spoke with at the county suggested that he contact me and have me agree and have my acre rezoned at the same time theirs did. So I'm here showing an interest for my property, but I don't represent the Hortons.
Okay.
I have a similar interest.
Steve, is his property part of this? Okay. All right.
So I developed the Country Brook subdivision that's to the west
Okay.
of this property. And we had a similar zone to what it is now. And at the end of our last phase, then the city rezoned our property and a multitude of other properties scattered all over the city and said they all ought to be R110 or R12 or whatever. And I objected to that motion back when it was done, but it was done maybe 20 years ago. And but this is a better zone. It's the whole of the donut. Everything else has been developed around it with lots that are similar to what we're asking for, and it just makes sense to have like for like instead of having something so much larger in the middle of the donut with the last to be developed.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions of Mr. Smedley? Thank you, sir. You
Thank
may
you.
be seated. All righty. Mr. Parkinson.
Yeah, as mentioned, this is a request to rezone the property from R110 to R17. It's located in the little yellow dot or square in the middle of that subdivision. As you can see, it's surrounded by single-family homes. The next picture, it shows everything that's in bright yellow is R18, anything in light green is R17, and this is an R110 just stuck in the middle of a smaller residential zone. So the applicant is requesting it to rezone it R17, which is similar to what's to the west of it. Either one, to me, works, R18 or R17, because it will just comply, or not comply, but really just look like the rest of the neighborhoods that's out there. Difference between R17 and R18 is 1,000 square feet of land. Doesn't mean the house size goes down, doesn't mean anything else. Just the properties are a little smaller.
A little less lawn to mow?
Yeah, but I mean, 1,000 square feet is really not that much.
Okay.
So staff would recommend approval of the request for R17.
Okay. Mr. Smedley, do you want to say anything about that?
I think the configuration of the lots, you're going to get more like R18 size lots, but the R17, how does the frontage compare? I prefer the 7, and I'm glad the staff recommends that, but I just wanted to point out that whether we like it or not, the configuration of the streets, and then they're just going to be deep setbacks. And there's going to be a lot of excess land at the back of all of the lots, which adds 1,000 square foot, but it's really, the frontage is critical, and if it's the same frontage, then you really get, the R17 is the best zone, but
Okay.
more of the lots are going to be at least 8,000 square foot because of the depth.
Thank you for that. Okay.
Now, public hearing.
You done?
Public hearing.
All right, then this is the time set for the public hearing. I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Move that we go into public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Nope, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There being none, the motion passed. We're now in public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to be heard on this matter, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and tell us what you want us to hear.
My name is Clay Crabtree. I live at 4891 South, 3925 West. Basically, I'm in the cul-de-sac on the northwest corner. We got a letter. I have received a letter about, it's 10, 12 years ago, saying they rezoned it to 12 because they wanted bigger houses there. I understood at that time that, you know, the house would be a little bit bigger. With everything being an R8, I'd rather see an R8 put there over an R17, just so we're not cramming houses on our backyards, and we maybe have a little more space. That is my recommendation. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to say at this public hearing? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
No.
No, still not? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There being none, the public hearing is now closed. Okay, we need to vote on it.
You need
Any discussion?
Say again?
Any additional discussion?
What's the primary difference between the 7 and the 8?
That's what I'm trying to look up on lot width. The size of parcels, again, is 1,000 square feet. So if you drove through the neighborhood, you probably won't ever know the difference in the neighborhood. You have to get I mean, yeah, you can get one additional parcel for every 7,000 square feet that, you know, you take off from the R18, but in essence, they're really the same in density. Sorry, I'm trying to find this dumb table.
I have a question while you're
Uh-huh.
doing that. Well, when I went and looked at it, it's pretty much landlocked. I mean, it's not landlocked. There's an access road, but once you get there, then they're going to have to put in streets, gutters, and all that kind of stuff. That
Right.
is going to reduce the size or the number of houses that can be put in there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll have to, when they subdivide, they'll have to abide by the subdivision ordinance and the requirements of lot size, lot widths. Ooh, I might have gotten out. Not far enough. But other than that, again, it's still single family, it's still gonna be, you know, homes. Sorry, just trying to limit size smaller, no, it can't be that far. Tables. Okay, so lot width, both of them are 65 feet street frontage. So it'll be just the depth of the parcel that can be different, but again, you're only gonna get a road in, maybe a cul-de-sac to the south, a road up, a little cul-de-sac and a road out. So the width of the parcel is gonna be the same, and probably the depth will be the same, just because you can't fit more than one road in there. With that being evident, when you look at the street patterns, to the north of this, you've got one road that goes in and that has a cul-de-sac, and so just one parcel on each side, 65 feet wide for both R18 and R17, so.
So the difference is the depth.
Difference would be the depth, but you can't get
Yeah.
more.
You can't
I
get
mean,
more houses.
If it was wider, you might be able to get two streets and then maybe, but because there's only one street, it really, as Mr. Smedley had said, it probably developed more as R18 than R17.
Okay.
Because it already has the two streets coming in, one from the
Yeah,
east
it's
and one
got
from the west.
One kind
So
of
I don't
to the
think the
north.
zone's really gonna make a difference in how many parcels can be developed on this one.
Either one would be fine.
Right. Do any of the commissioners have any other questions, Mr. Parkinson? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval, the request to amend the zoning map from R110, single-family residential, to R17, single-family residential, with the condition outlined in the staff report and as discussed.
I'll second it.
And is that for the property located at approximately 3925 west, 4950 south?
Yes.
Okay. And you second it,
I second it.
Commissioner Karas? Okay. Now we vote.
Now roll call.
Now roll call.
Yes. Commissioner Collins?
Aye.
Commissioner Brand?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bills?
Aye.
Commissioner Karas?
Aye.
Commissioner Spar?
Aye.
Commissioner Cowie?
Aye.
Motion carries. This item will be heard on the March 5th City Council meeting. So the way it works is the state requires that all items like this come to the Planning Commission. They can only make a recommendation. It goes to the City Council for final approval. So again, March 5th at 5:30 is when that meeting will be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item number 4.
Just curious, may I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
If I hadn't have been here and Steve Horton wasn't here, would it have been tabled, or would you have moved on, or what?
We'd have moved
We-
on.
Thank you for your.
But we appreciate you coming. We like the proponent to show up and show a little interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 4, discussion of ordinance changes. I believe Mr. Parkinson would have something to say about this.
Just a little.
You are the proponent, huh?
Yeah, this is more or less just to let you know what's kind of on the pike, what will come to the next meeting. We had a how do you correctly say this? We had a school, Roy Junior High, that's going to be built, or new and built. Under state statutes, there's certain things that they're exempt from, and certain things they still have to get approval from cities. Exempt from aesthetics, materials. Actually, they don't have to get a building permit. They do their own inspections. They just have to provide a report of what those inspections are and what their findings were. Parking requirements, landscaping requirements, kind of list is big. But setbacks is one that they have to abide by. Well, architect failed to notify the city. They started moving dirt after they were shut down by the SWIP officer because they didn't comply with that aspect. They finally sent me some plans. To the north, they are 9 feet closer than they're supposed to be, and to the west, they are, 5 feet closer than they're supposed to be, according to the ordinance. The ordinance, which is in red, or in yours, I think it's just regular, but the ordinance reads is for non-residential structures, so schools and whatnot, it's 1 foot for every foot of height of building, or 20 feet or 1 foot for every height of building. The building's 38 feet, so they ran into some issues. They have come to ask forgiveness. We told them, well, we will have to amend the ordinance in order to get you to where you need. But upon researching both code prior to 2005, so our 2004 ordinance, and other cities, for some reason, things changed. It used to read 20 feet or 1 foot for every foot over 35 would be the setback. So in this case, both north and west would be 23 feet rather than 38 feet. So I know South Ogden, West Haven, there was a few other cities around that were that way. Ogden, it was just 20 feet, didn't matter what the height was for schools. Actually, I had to inform Ogden that they could make the schools do certain things. They just ran away when schools said they were coming. Said, nope, they can do what they want. And I said, no, they don't. And anyway, so staff is looking to make this change from what it currently is now. For anything over 20 feet, it's 1 foot for every foot higher, to 1 foot for every higher than 35. Mm-hmm. Now, the height requirement or limitation for these zones is 35 feet. So the school's 38, hence another problem. So what staff has done, and again, looking at previous ordinances, we did allow for 40 feet in the R2, and R3 and R4. Looking at other cities, though, the higher densities they've gotten or have, the higher the building can be. So there wasn't a max at 35 feet. So the R3, in this case, the R3 and R4 zone, I put none as in height restriction. Mainly, if they want to build a 4-story 12-plex, should I care? Because if it's going to be that tall, the setback's going to still be increased, but it gives possibilities of other things than just what we've got today. So I just want to kind of get your ideas, your thoughts and stuff before I bring it in as a public hearing next month. That's part A. So.
Okay. Anybody have?
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
So if you change it for the schools, because it seems like everyone that comes for all these public hearings with the growth, they're concerned about the height of the buildings because of views and stuff. It changes it for everyone or just the school?
For everyone.
In those 3 zones, the R2,
In those 3
R3,
zones.
R4.
Correct.
So would that affect like all that growth they want to put over by the train tracks where people are so concerned?
No, because that will be a different zone altogether.
Because it's not as tall.
Well, again, it'll be a different zone
zone.
altogether.
Oh, okay.
It won't be R2, R3, or R4, it'll probably just be a mixed-use zone.
Oh, that's right, okay.
I'm gonna say if we're already switching to that form-based code up in the front to remove the height requirements, we finagle this into that too?
I don't want to take residential into form-based code. It, in 3 pages, it tells me everything I want, and form-based code will be about 20 pages to tell me the same thing that I don't want to, you know. So to do form-based code in a residential zone, it's almost useless. Because I still, you know, you still want a front yard
Yeah.
for the homes, and you still want side yards, so, existing zoning will stay for residential.
How many areas are zoned in the R2 through R4 right now?
It's, if you take the
'Cause
city
that's a
at
pretty
whole,
pretty
it's
small lot.
probably 20% of the entire city, those 3 zones. R2's more where Roy Junior High is, up to about the cemetery, down to just before 56, and maybe 4 blocks wide. R3 is mostly down 5600 south to about over the viaduct, and it kind of ends. R4 is mostly west of 1900.
So would it be more prudent to take the R, which has the least amount of people affected, and then apply that to the school?
Well, I can't distinguish between a non-residential school, or non-residential building school, and non-residential other
Commercial.
buildings.
Whatever.
Yeah, because there's some uses within the zone that are non-residential in the R3 and R4.
So the impact on the citizens by changing this is minimal, that's kind of what you're
Right.
saying.
So, again, so that I understand, if we make the change to the ordinance, then it applies to any building within that.
Any
zone,
non-residential
not just-
building.
We're not doing this specifically for a school.
It's to help
Not
the school, but it would
specifically, but it
impact
does help.
everybody.
It does help this problem, but any other building that complied could also
Right.
be in that zone.
Now, I'm not married to the no height restriction on R3, R4. I just threw it out because other zone, you know, other cities in their higher density zones don't have a limit.
I don't see why we needed a limit anyway, because we could,
Do we just amend the limit, just say 40 feet?
You can.
Wouldn't that be easier than changing the whole zone? Just say, oh, now it's 40 foot.
Well, either way, I have
Still
to
have to change
amend it because right now the limitation or the maximum height is 35.
How far back is a school where it's 38 feet tall?
Under today's ordinance, or,
Like
them?
physically, where they're building the school, how far
right
back
now,
is it?
again, to the north, they are 9 feet short, so they're 29 feet. And to the west, because they kind of, where the baseball diamonds and fields are right now is where they're gonna put the school. And the old school is gonna now become the fields. So the west of it, they are sitting at 29 and a half. No, wait, 36.6, sorry. 29 and a half is the other one.
But the height of it is more centrally located away from, like where it
It's,
is now in the street.
the highest point is the northwest corner of the building.
Yeah.
When you go towards the front, it gets smaller. I think this is where the gym is or something, so. But it's
Do you have like pictures and stuff that maybe for the public hearing you can put up and
Nope.
show?
School doesn't have to provide cities with
Anything.
that. Because again, aesthetics is something I can't look at. They just have to know the height, and then I say, okay, your setbacks are, and they provide plans showing that, so I can stamp it.
they had better influence in the legislature than the cities did, apparently, huh?
A lot of things have better legislation than the cities. We won't get into food trucks.
And if we decided to not recommend that we do that, or not change the zoning, and the council said also, what would be the result?
We
of
have told the school they can proceed at their own risk. That we will try,
Yeah. What can you do if they don't comply anyway?
make them cut it down
Cut it
3
down.
feet, or move it.
Send out the sheriff, the constable, all that kind of bad stuff. Okay,
Yeah, they'll have to move the building 9 feet south and some east.
So eventually the taxpayers will pay anyway.
Yep.
correct, okay. Okay, and so that'll be on next.
Yes. The other part of the ordinance change is more of a cleanup. It was, when we created that RE15 zone for those that were annexed into the city, we told them basically they'll have the same rights and privileges as RE20. Well, I forgot a paragraph that dealt with the size of accessory buildings. In an RE20 zone, well, all the others, single-family zones, you have a maximum size of a building of 1,250 square feet. In an RE20, it's 2,500. So it's a huge difference just because the lot size is a lot bigger. I forgot to insert RE15 into that paragraph, so it would just be including that to
just
have it all come in compliance with what we told them we would allow.
Administrative cleanup.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If it was just an S, then I could do it, but it's a whole 6 letters, so I have to do it through here. So I didn't think there'd probably be too much grief on that one, but I figured I'd take what I had or needed to do.
Okay. Is the junior high in which zone are they in? The
R2.
R3?
R2.
Okay. So that's a pretty small area in the city anyway, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything they want to discuss with Steve? Or Steve, anything you want to add?
Not on that aspect, no.
All right. Then we will move on to item number 5. This is the commissioners' minute. I'll hear from any of the commissioners that want to say anything on the record.
Or questions.
Or any questions? There being no response, we'll move on to item number 6, which is the staff update. Mr. Parkinson?
Any questions? No. General plan is moving forward. We did have a steering committee meeting a while ago, and I thought it went well. They did direct staff to do a few things, so I've got in touch with the school, and in fact with the U.S. citizenship teacher. They would like to go discuss the general plan with the students, you know, the generation that's coming up, and see what they would like to do. So I've got that almost organized for them to go there. We'll probably spend a couple class times
That's cool.
talking with them and getting their input. And then there's a few other individuals they wanted, not individuals, but types of people like real estate agents and stuff to be on the committee. So looking for those.
Okay.
Other than that,
Kinda
That's it?
quiet, huh?
yeah, the ordinance itself, we're hoping is done by end of February, so I can bring it in March to get approved.
So we'll move right along.
Yep.
All righty. Then, we'll move to item number 7. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a
I
second?
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Commissioner Carey hasn't missed one of those.
Nope, he's on top of that.
Well, I don't want to miss my chance to get my name in the minutes.